subscribe.
Holding on together.
Welcome back to the Angry Ops Guy podcast. Here's the Angry Ops Guy, Mike. I've been a little MIA recently, but I've got another guest that I'm happy to have on the podcast. We've been talking about this for a few months, and here she is. Heidi Schwende from WSI DM Inc. She's been part of the WSI network since 2013. Built a really successful business model with her business partner, Jack Porter Smith, and WSI Paid Search, then formed into Utopia Ads and still an active partner with them, one of my true friends in the WSI network. And I'm thrilled to have her here because we're going to have some fun and we're also going to grumble and everything else we do on the Angry Ops Guy. So Heidi, hi dear, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm okay, Mike. And of course you've been MIA because how easy has this year been? Tell me. Of course you've been busy.
Gosh. Where do you want to start? Hold on. Can we start drinking? Man, oh man.
I was trying to put something in my coffee.
Very good. Heidi's figured it out already. Why have I been MIA? I've been MIA because this year has been tough. And, when things get tough, you got to double down on focusing on work versus, hobbies and endeavors like this. But a lot of that, Heidi, has to do with, our changing landscape and, economic uncertainty and all those things that impact marketing. Because we depend on consumers to want to go buy, products, solutions, and support online through the customers that need us. And when consumers take a step back or maybe don't have as much, money available to spend at the level that they did even 6 months or a year ago, it really harms digital marketers, right? So we have to keep adapting and pivoting. And Christ, we're definitely going to get into AI and how that's changing our ecosystem today. But it's good to be back with you. We talk a lot offline, me and you. We are friends and not just colleagues. I truly call you one of my true friends, especially in the years I've known you with WSI, and we've got some good stories. And we've also worked on some successful joint projects together for clients where we're leveraging each other's skill sets to help support what the client needs.
Yeah, and that's that beautiful kilt-wearing Scot that introduced us quite formally.
And, you mean that fat, that pumpkin-headed goof, Jack Porter Smith, who,
Yeah, that guy.
I still don't know, if I'm going to drop episode 2 of his the way he talks to me. But we love you, Jack. You know that your 2 favorite people are on this call. So
yeah, he's
one of these days, Heidi, we're definitely going to have Jack on, and the 3 of us can we'll have a hoot with that one day. That would be a lot of fun because there's 3 very different minds there to talk about digital marketing.
Are we going to talk about the under the table grabbing at dinner?
Oh, I'll just share that. I'll just share that story later as we go. Like, don't put all the good stuff out there first, but sure, we'll talk about how Jack really closes deals, and it's not appropriate in any capacity, so don't worry about it. But you mentioned to me, I kind of said I had been MIA or not focused on pumping out new content here, and now we're kind of back trying to do it. With that being said, you mentioned it's been a tough year, and I know that you and I talk a lot about business and life and other things, and obviously the themes here are primarily around operations and business. But I'm going to flip that on you. Is what's caused this year to be challenging, or reflecting now late December to be deemed as 2025 was difficult, and you're looking forward to a fresh start in 26. What does that mean to you based on how you've navigated your agency this year and what you've seen going on in our ecosystem, the industry, and frankly the marketing world?
Sure. Look, Mike, you're right. It has been a difficult, a really tough year for all of us. I mean, for fuck's sake, how much harder can it get? So I've been doing a lot of research and finding there are so many agencies, like there are thousands of people trying to do this out there. Um, and of the thousands that are doing it out there, like multiple thousands, like we're talking 5 figures, thousands of agencies. And of those, only a fraction, only the top tier are doing it remotely well. And customers are paying for stuff that doesn't work. Customers are frustrated. They come to us angry. And I mean, we have some examples of that where
Sure
we've
do.
had to turn customers around, and things are just getting more and more difficult. So there are fewer customers out there. There are fewer customers who believe in what we do because of the bad players. And I don't mean that they're deliberately bad. They think they're good, but they don't realize that they just don't know what they don't know. And some of them, yeah, it is just a cash grab. Like, okay, we'll turn you and we'll burn you, and then we'll just keep bringing them in. So there was
Doesn't
that.
that drive you? Doesn't you that drive you nuts?
It
Because
does. It harms our.
you do so much prospecting because that's really your forte is how to find the way to get the door open to have those conversations. That's for the 10+ years now, if not more, I've known you. That's always been your skill set. But I'll tell you, from the ops guy here to the business owner that you are, it chaps my ass when we get in front of customers, no matter size or scale. And that's the first thing they say is, my former agency or the existing agency, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They won't grant me access to this. They're not giving me the reports. They promised me this. They promised me that. And to your point, when you're talking tens of thousands of agencies, and for anybody that's listening, that's just the consensus of statistical numbers in North America. We're not talking globally. We're just talking North America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, how do we, it gives the good agencies, and when I say good, the ethical ones that truly want to help people, because that's what we're in this business for, and that's a theme, right? It's not all negativity, but you do this business because of the outcomes that you provide through your tactical solutions and strategy to help people make people's lives and people's businesses better. That's, if you're an ethical digital marketer with integrity, that's truly what you're fighting for, is to know that, a client says, well, I was going to go bankrupt, but I doubled down and invested with you, and in X amount of time, I'm in the green now and I can see light. Or, maximizing their expenditure for better gains and ROAS and everything else. But
Yeah, I think
so many of those conversations are around, you're all the same. You're
yes.
all a bunch of crooks.
Yes.
You're all promising the world, and it's all bullshit. Um,
That is
and
so
it makes
fucked
it
up.
very
It
hard
breaks
for
my
someone
heart.
like, yeah, I know it does. You really go to bat for customers like they're almost an extension of, your friends and people. Like you're wired to help people and want to help people passionately. But how it, with that kind of, like you said, where we have to stand out. Um, what are you seeing, because you do so much sales business development for your agency and trying to keep that pipeline moving? How are you breaking that down? What have you seen works to allow that person to bring their shoulders down, to be more comfortable with you, so that you can educate and you can help them understand that I'm not just another Tom, Dick, and Harry that's here to cash grab you?
Yeah. I think it's all about building rapport and listening to them. Like sometimes, sometimes people, I've heard people do this on calls and I cringe. When a customer wants to vent, like if it's a customer or a prospect or whoever it may be, if they want to vent to you, they want to express what's bothering them, let them listen with an empathetic ear, listen for where their pain really is. And, I'm not making enough money. And, the phone's not ringing. My form fills. People aren't engaging with my website, whatever it may be. Just listen to them, hear them out, and say, I understand. I come across this every day. Let me show you how it can be different. I will show you. I will do some complimentary research for you. I will take a look at your website. I will tell you what they're doing wrong, or we'll audit your paid ads, or we'll audit your SEO. We'll tell you what they're missing. We'll look at your reporting and tell you, look, they're giving you all these fluff metrics, but they're not telling you how many people are really coming in and if it's the right people coming in. So these are all the things. So it's just staying in
You got to
conversation.
break the guard down. You've got to break that guard down. So, because especially for you, you're such an integral person, again, as a business development first touch point to start building a relationship. You've got to quickly, in that 30 or 45 minutes that you book with them, out of, and also for people that maybe don't know Heidi as well as I do, Heidi's really built a brilliant system for her own business about how to do outreach. Whether you want to call it cold outreach or targeted outreach, but really identifying email lists and qualified people based on how she's, frankly, hunting for her business, but as the ability to get the right people. So you got to have a really good hook to get them in, but then you've got to be able to assess in that 30 to 45 minutes that they do book a cup of coffee with you on how you can immediately start building trust, so that they sit there and say, because a lot of what you and I hear on those calls is, well, I just entertained the call. I just, I have a problem, but something you said in the email stuck with me. But then we've got to capitalize on saying, I haven't shown or proven anything to you, but I'm building trust that, this person knows what they're talking about. And there's an ethical approach here, that they actually care about what I'm saying versus selling. Because we both know those calls when it's sleazy salesman 101. And it's,
Oh, yeah, we get them all the time.
Gross. And like, going back to what you said about us being very commodity centric now, just with the sheer amount of agencies and freelancers, how do we stand out versus everybody else that's attacking them with the same shtick, the same messages, the same outreach, so that they can say that was different? And then I want that larger conversation with Heidi to understand how strategically they can help me solve my business problems in the sense
That's
of
what I'm looking to do every day. And I'll be honest, Mike, it doesn't always happen. Sometimes I can't turn it around. And it breaks my heart for the business owner when they leave and they say, no, I'm just going to pass. And I mean, I have to qualify them like anybody else. But I try to go in with the mindset that I am hunting for people I can help. I am not hunting for people that I can sell, because you can sell pretty much anybody. You can churn, you can burn, you bring them in, you get them for 3-4 months. They don't like it. You say goodbye, you part ways, you've damaged your reputation. Then you go after more and more and more. There is that business model out there. A lot of people do it that way. It's a fast way, but it's not the right way. And the way we do it, we don't close as much business, but we close better business, in the sense that these are people that are going to stick, people that are going to stay, people that we can partner with, people that we can really get in and dig deep, because you don't always start with the deep stuff, right? You start with what needs fixing immediately, and then you seed and you grow. And then as they make money, they can spend more money to do more good things. So we're looking for the people that want the help, that can believe in us, that we can partner with, and that will stay with us for years. I mean, I just look at your roster of clients and mine. Most of the clients that are with me have been with me. So I started getting good at sales probably around 2015. And I do still have clients that have been with me since 2014, Mike. We're still together.
And you and I both know, we talk about this a lot. If you get, as a digital marketing agency, if you can get a 2 or 3 year, call it run with a client before they choose to change, or internal changes, or they want something fresh or whatever, that's a pretty good run.
Yes, it is.
In our world. So to have clients 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like we've got clients in Peter's agency here, they've been with him over 20 years. That's a testament to integrity, reputation, and ultimately the word we're looking is partnership. And that's what you and I do on sales calls when we have joint opportunities to evaluate where, whether it's our agency skill set that can complement other teams and so forth, or how you want to extend the offering to the customer so that you're the single source partner.
Yeah.
You really you really have to establish upfront that, you know, I'm looking for partnership. I've said this to you matter of fact in our calls and chats, but also with the calls we're on. I'm not, I've said this on the podcast, I am not your goddamn supplier. And I say that emphatically. I want to build a strategic partnership. A partnership means I am an extension of your brand and your business. I want to be indispensable, if that's the word. I want, I want to be that next brain for you to take the pressure off of your business. A supplier is the meat grinder concept of just, I'm going to
Yep.
chew you up and spit you out. And that's why we're also friends, is you and I don't align with that type of approach of even that type of clientele. Like you said, we may not close volume, but we're looking for quality with the opportunity to scale with proof of concept, trust, and ultimately that we're doing it the right way for the longevity and the success of the business, knowing that so many people just want to screw around to make money and harm businesses. And we know what harm we can do if we don't take care of brands online and the signals that allow authority or traction or whatever else.
Yeah, we can do a tremendous amount of damage. And that's another thing too. That's why I don't work with shitty partners. If you're a shitty partner, you won't last with me. I don't work with people who um who won't deliver the kind of quality that is expected. Like, I can be real bitchy about that stuff. If I'm
Yep.
going to be working hard to build a partnership with somebody, damn well better be serving them the way they deserve to be serviced. They're paying us good money.
Yes. And ultimately, if you have bad suppliers or bad partners, then it's actually impacting your own reputation.
Yes.
You know, and again, you have a very different model than a standard WSI franchise. And what I mean by that, for anybody listening, is a lot of franchises in any business, but also in WSI, are sole proprietors, one or two man, so forth, because the beauty of the WSI network is to leverage production centers and suppliers and not have to have all that investment internally. But you chose early on in your agency growth that you knew what you were good at, which was sales, business development, client relationships. You knew from your past life that fulfillment was not what you wanted to do anymore. So you've really made a point over your 12-year journey of success in WSI, and the ebbs and flows of working to build strong partnerships with key partners, so that you can literally, if you will, pass it off and trust that it's going to be executed and managed for the lifespan of the customer, versus you being a bottleneck. You mind speaking a little bit about that, in the sense of, because you've really been a strong example for people like me of how to run lean internally and maximize intelligence and experience and expertise from trusted production centers and partners, as a way to move your revenue in a positive direction. You mind explaining a little bit your thought process behind that?
Oh, my dad, really happy to do that. So, look, the way I came into this was, there's a network here, a network of talented people. I just have to go in and find the people that I mesh with. Why would I bash my head against the wall to try and recreate everything that Mike has already created? It's already there. You've hired the people, you've trained the people, you educate the people. They build, they're immersed in this all day, every day. Why would I go and rebuild that wheel? The wheel already exists. I don't need to do that. So, and what the beauty of this kind of model is, when while you're delivering, I'm out hunting for more. It's a very symbiotic relationship. It's not like I'm your salesperson. I'm my own person and I'm my own business, but at the same time, I am selling for us both. So while I'm doing the hard work of selling, you're doing the hard work of delivering, and together we're better, and it's together that we win. I don't.
And anybody that knows you during your tenure at WSI, and especially the partnership and deep personal friendship you have with our mutual friend and one of my best friends, Jack Porter Smith, is a glowing example of that. Between awards recognition, between success of very, very large tier campaigns that you and Jack ran together, because he was one of your first really true partners that you doubled down and brought a tremendous amount of business in that model you said of leveraging Jack's team's expertise, especially in first starting with paid advertising, then moving to selling on from the stage, and how you were doing that. That's a whole other podcast of what you guys built there. But that model worked very attractive to you guys for exactly that reason.
It sure did. We traveled all across North America together, going to Google offices and stuff, and it was so, so much fun. And then COVID hit, of course. But we, and we hatched that one night when he was on the road. He did some business for a family member, and he went to London, and he was going to be on the road for hours and hours. So we had a brainstorming session while he was driving back from London. And when I say London, I mean in the UK, back to Scotland, and I was here in North America. And it was early for him, but it was, hang on. No, it was early for me, but it was late for him. So he's driving in the dark. And I spent the afternoon with him. And that's how we hatched that plan. And this is what I mean about working with good partners. Smart people, the iron sharpens iron thing. When you're sharpening a knife, you sharpen it against another piece of metal. You know what I mean? And that's the rub right there. That's a good rub. That's when good things happen. Ideas of what.
And also to that point, like you're saying, is it allows you not to be, there's a big topic going around and some chatter and stuff about imposter syndrome, right? Because again, our landscape is changing like crazy and everybody wants to be on top of it. Everybody wants to be able to talk about it intelligently, including myself. It's we are really at an unprecedented times right now of how technology is evolving what we do.
Oh, holy shit. Tell me about it.
No fucking kidding.
I feel like I'm cracking under the weight of it some days.
I feel like I've got AI tattooed on my forehead, for crying out loud. But going back to that, it's like you said, is it allows you not to say, well, look, I am the salesperson, I'm trying to bring the business in, but we all know that, because of how much remote meetings people do now, again, the outreach and solicitation, which is a big thing in our industry, of how many emails saying, we'll get you ranked this and we'll get you ranked that and book with us and blah, book a calendar invite and this and that, is you have the ability to pull your lieutenants in from all facets of WSI to show that I have smart people. I can address any question you have, prospect. And I don't have to be the one that has to carry the burden of all the insights, all the information, technical, tactical. Like, for example, you've brought me on select prospect calls, specifically for the fact that, Mike, you're very technical. And that's what this client needs, because they're worried about the technical side. And I'm not comfortable enough articulating that farther than how far I've positioned marketing and understanding their needs and pains. And I've come into calls with you, even on something small, to help you in Utopia ads. And that becomes the missing piece, saying, what's the next step, Heidi? Because now they've got that confirmation that there's somebody that knows what they're talking about on the other side of things, versus just don't take this the wrong way, but like a glorified salesperson that has a script and a shtick, but as soon as it gets tactical or strategy, then they fold. And that's why a lot of salespeople don't do well in our industry, is because you have to blend strategy, tactical, and sales in one to convey a proper narrative to the customer that you're talking to try to sell your marketing strategy for what they want.
I have been very fortunate, Mike. And I won't belabor this, but I'll just give you a very short progression. I started my career in technology consulting. I worked for a CEO, and what he did was relationship sales all day, every day. He had done it at IBM. He was Cambridge educated, brilliant guy, and he mentored me for about 10 years. Then when I left and I came to Toronto at that time, I realized, oh my goodness gracious, marketing is changing in a big way. the internet. So I went and I wanted to learn to code. And I realized, I'm going to age myself. I hate doing it, but it's valuable to say. The first word processing programs that we had, actually, you had to use some HTML to get your documents to render. So when I went in to start to learn how to code, I'm like, hey, I know this shit already. This is great. So went through that with flying colors, reoriented my career from traditional marketing and PR to digital marketing, and I learned how to code. And I started again and as a coder, which I loved to do. It was so fun. But because I came through that progression from the beginning of the internet to today, every new shift is just a new layer of knowledge. It's not something
Yes.
that I have to learn from scratch. So I can see things that other people sometimes don't see. And that's where I say I'm fortunate. I'm lucky. When I was going through the learning, it felt very painful. But now that I know this is always going to change, it's going to be lifelong learning for as long as I'm doing this business. I now know this is just another layer of change. This is not, the old stuff is not going away. It's shifting. And we're adding new layers to it all the time. New layers of knowledge, new ways of doing things. So it has been very, very valuable for me, I must say.
Well, you
So
should just take over this podcast because that was a perfect transition. I can't even speak like you can. You talk about a shift. Let's shift a little bit naturally here, but let's start talking about the shift because the shift is massive, Heidi.
right now, yeah.
And especially in the last 3 to 5 months, we had Heidi and I had a catch up call last night when we were trying to figure out if we were going to be able to record today, but we went on a tangent for over an hour just talking about the change and the fatigue that's come with it and the mental exhaustion.
Yeah.
One thing we were talking about. So let's talk about the shift and the biggest shift to kind of put it into perspective for people, because we can't talk about every single thing. We'd be here forever. But the biggest shift is the injection of artificial intelligence and large language models.
Oh, baby. And are
Oh,
they learning fast? Oh, baby.
and what's unsettling is, like you said, it's not things are going away. Everything in our industry evolves, like you said. And not saying this to date you and whatnot, but you explained you've been around doing some sort of technology sector work as your career path has transitioned and evolved from the early infancy of the internet.
Yes.
Let's just say the late 90s, where we remember what the internet was there and what websites were there and what we're doing now. SEO has been something that has been evolving in many, many, many different facets for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And it continues to evolve. So I do agree with you. You're absolutely right that, things don't die. They have a purpose, but it's making sure you understand the importance and the evolution of, again, technology, because even a couple of years ago, we didn't have the ability to talk to a large language model that says like, hey, I want to figure this out. And it gives you at least an accurate output to kind of say, that's an interesting baseline. We were doing that stuff manually. And now we're seeing in Google and so forth. Now we're seeing AI coming in as overviews. We're seeing AI mode. We're seeing now that we have to understand and try to figure out how to sell, but also how to execute, how to optimize websites and brands more so for now large language models, whether they're injected into Google to serve information or a new, if you want to maybe call it a new search engine concept, which is these individual large language models, because people are going to them instead of going to Google, in the sense of getting discoverable information. And there's no playbook to this. And
No.
it's not all net new. Like you said, foundational SEO and best practices and principles are the baseline of how the large language models will understand relevancy, accuracy, reputation, authority, all those things that we've been talking about for years. But there's a new layer now that how to make these language models understand information better for accuracy, versus false positives. And thus, how do we make sure that our customers show up in the queries in these large language models that will allow the right information to be served? So
Yeah.
again, it's SEO, but now it's evolving SEO, whether it's search everywhere optimization. WSI is really digging down on adaptive SEO because
Right.
of the word adapt. And that's really what we are doing. And we are adapting to a major shift in our industry based on technology that the world has never had. And like you said a few minutes ago, it is coming. It's not even coming so fast. It is here, and every day is so fast, whether it's what it's learning, what's being rolled out. Because again, we weren't even talking in severity about the SEO changing landscape until roughly July of 2025.
Yeah. And there's something that was, so 2000 was a big shift. There was a dot-com bust, and everybody told me, why are you going back to school for this shit? And I said, because there's maybe not a business case for it today, but there will be. And I was right. Thank God. And that was because of the training I had received prior. And now this is another big shift. So there were lots of little shifts in the meantime, but now here, 25 years later, has it been 25 years? Damn. Okay. Life is fast, so enjoy it, guys. Here we are 25 years later, and the biggest shift of all that has happened recently is this, in my mind anyway. And you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. Let's have a conversation about this. But AI remembers. So it's no longer a one-off query or, you know, or one search or, meta tags or a schema or internal linking or sitemaps. What used to be about talking to machines is we learned their rules, we spoke their language, and we hoped they intercepted us like properly, right? But now what changed is that it remembers, and we're not just talking to the machines anymore. We're having conversations with them. And even more importantly, in my mind anyway, we are teaching them. And if we teach them crap, they're going to give us crap.
Yep.
This is a problem.
Well,
Because a lot of people have crap on their websites.
You're so right with that because, we've known forever in the game of injecting information to the internet, because the internet basically is a massive, cloud of a database of information. It's how everybody learns stuff, but we know how much garbage there is there, whether it's clickbait, whether it's misinformed, and so forth. So exactly to your point, and tying it back to what we truly do and why we have to teach the large language models to understand the relevancy and accuracy of the information about brands is so that it will get the result of what the output or what it surfaces to the end searcher accurately. Because you're right, what AI can do is it can scrape an average of the most trusted or authoritative or cited information on the internet. But that's where the human lens, as I call it, is still highly applicable, because if you're going to blindly allow it to do X, Y, and Z, it will have false positives that can really harm your integrity, your proposal, your execution, or whatever. So the human eyes and how the human has feelings and interpretation and everything else is still very much warranted for the QC and the fact check of what we're doing. Very, very important. AI is not us yet, but you're absolutely right. We are teaching it like a child what we want it to understand, and the technology is learning and can process and respond in an astronomically fast amount of milliseconds back to you, versus
That's right.
me and you sitting here saying, what are we going to talk about next? Because the human mind takes a moment to try to connect and fire and whatever else. So yeah,
These machines
it's
remember. Like everything we do now for it. If you publish a piece of content, it's a lesson for them. We're teaching AI what our business knows, what it stands for, how credible it is, whether we're safe to cite. And if our content is thin, or it's inconsistent, or it's sloppy. What we're doing literally is training the system to undervalue us. So it's
Yes.
not optimization anymore. I think that that's maybe a word that will eventually disappear. I don't think
Okay.
it's just optimization anymore. It's education. And bad teaching gets ignored. And that is fatal.
That's a really I like that line a lot. Bad bad education or bad teaching, what you say there, because you're absolutely right. We've heard that word a lot since AI has come into day-to-day business, even for operational efficiency and fulfillment, is slop. AI slop. Because again, it's not just I can produce it faster. Is the quality there? It's meant to make you more efficient. That's what we're seeing right now, is the efficiency. But the
Yes.
efficiency doesn't mean that something that took 5 hours before now is 5 minutes. Efficiency means a stronger output, a more accurate output, more options for a customer to consider, more competitive research in a faster amount of time. It still has to be vetted by a human. AI is very impressive so far in doing mundane tasks and repetitive tasks. Unfortunately, that's we call it like the grunt entry level work and so forth. But again, we have to make sure that we teach it in the right way. That, can I trust this brand? Is the brand entity consistent across all the signals online of how it can interpret? Can I trust this company that should show up as the most accurate result for what the customer is searching for? Because what I said to you last night, and I feel very strongly about, is we're actually going back into a discovery phase.
Yes.
So discovery has always had a place at the top of the funnel. I'm discovering information. I'm trying to get informed. I'm trying to get educated. But now we've got to allow customers to be discovered again in the new large language models, so that then they can get the referral traffic, the cited traffic of saying, where did you get that from? That will then now allow them to go to their websites. Because the scary thing that you and I are seeing, and we're tracking every day, and the scary thing we're seeing in reporting, especially on the SEO side, is since July and the Google algorithm updates that happened, traffic is declining.
Yeah,
And
34%.
everybody is panicking about it, because you can't look at traffic as a major signal anymore. They're actually saying that traffic as a data is actually becoming a vanity metric, because it's not telling you the right story. So, okay, your SEO company, SEO agency has worked over the last 5 years, and they got you from 100, traffic a month, and then 1,000 traffic a month, and then 10,000 traffic a month. Well, guess what? That 10,000 traffic now has been cut to 1,200.
Mhm.
And, obviously any customer who's investing money will say, well, what the hell's the matter with my SEO plan? What are you guys doing over there? Why aren't you executing correctly, and so forth? And they have every right to have that type of lens, because they don't know what we're seeing, which is the traffic didn't go down for a penalty. The traffic didn't go down because Google said, bad SEO. The traffic is declining because the search experience is evolving. And what that means is that people are not going to Google simply to type in a query anymore, to simply ask a question and then drill into websites to find an answer. They are being served the answer directly in the search results, directly in the LLMs, directly in the overviews, directly in the schema FAQs that pop up directly in Google. And with that information, thus they don't need to go and read a blog post about top 10 best things for why you should select X. However, we have to make sure that they understand that what we want, though, is we want quality traffic over quantity moving forward, because you
Correct.
may only have 1,000 or 300 unique organic visitors moving forward. But if those people are actually the high intent consumers that have done their due diligence and discovered and found you and drilled down, then there's a higher percentage to convert. So conversions, form fills, phone calls, and so forth are really going to be what a customer should really double down and look at for the success of their campaign, over vanity metrics of the past that did tell a story, but are just not going to tell you why things are adjusting. Because again, AI was not here injected in the search engine. And one thing I'll say further, because here I am rambling and I want you to get in here, is when that SEO conference that I went to in October, which I'm going to have dedicated episodes about and some of the findings, one they were saying is, well, you wonder why AI overviews magically appeared in the last couple months in Google and everything else. The reason being is Google does not want you stepping away from Google. They don't want you sitting in Chat GPT or Perplexity or Gemini. They want you to stay on Google's page, because if you're on Google's page, there's advertising real estate there that is being capitalized on, and Google is here to make money. So it's to their benefit to say, I will inject AI to be able to bring stuff directly into Google because you'll stay on Google.
That's right. And you'll see the advertising and you'll see this, that, and the next thing. They're even thinking about monetizing these AI overviews too, right? So this is another, this is another funny thing. But another thing that's really messed up, like really, really messed up, is people are starting, oh, we got to do everything for AI overviews. That's all fine and good. But that doesn't mean that the old stuff stopped mattering. It still matters. The LLMs are still looking at that. Like your site speed, your mobile experience, your crawlability, your schema, they're all still critical. If the site's broken, nothing else will work. So if you have those broken things and you start adding all the AI optimization, you're going to be optimizing poorly, because it's going to only understand a broken site, and it still won't cite you no matter what you're doing. It's going to still ignore you. So this is where you build on top of what you used to have.
Yes.
So instead of obsessing over, and this is how the strategy shifts, right? Instead of obsessing over like individual keywords and all this kind of stuff, we got to start mapping conversational journeys. So someone asks a question about a product or service, you have to think about what's the next question they're going to ask and what's the one after that. So this is why we're all saying right now, FAQs are really important.
Yes.
It's for that reason.
Because AI is primarily designed right now to address questions.
Yes.
Ask it a question, it will find you the answer. And then you can, to your point, you can drill. So you're absolutely right. FAQs, why you see FAQs everywhere now, is it is a tactic to be able to address questions. And then based on responses and how well robust that content is in the sense of topical authority, can it be trusted? Can it be cited? And can it be served?
Yes. And when we're talking about connected content, what does that mean? It's clusters of content that show depth and context and continuity. That's where your internal linking becomes so important. You're showing the machine, like, look, I'm giving you this individual page, and this page links to this page, and this page links to this page, and this backlink comes back here. And everything is informing the LLMs what that depth, context, and continuity is. And this is where editorial standards, the way we know them, stop being nice to have. So we're still in a content is king kind of environment. That won't change. Editorial standards are like, how can I put this? I don't like, in a world where anyone can generate infinite content instantly, quality is our only moat. That's the only one we have left.
Yes.
So every claim we make we have to be able to defend it. Every statistic needs a source. Every piece needs to sound like it came from someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about.
Who is that author in relation to the brand that it's talking about?
Right.
Again, is all of that consistent in a consistent positioning of this brand? Again, because the other thing too is if that entity, the brand, is inconsistent, we're the best in the world, but all the reviews online say that you're a bunch of malicious, you know what's.
Yeah, and you have 1 stars.
We do this, but you see everywhere else you do that. That's like crossing the wires. And that's going to not allow it to be able to understand, can I trust this brand entity in all of the signals online that contribute back to this brand? So again, we've talked about this too. Our mutual friend Mark Jameson out of WSI Ottawa,
Oh, smart guy. Love him.
strategies. Mark has such great vision in the sense of, again, over 2 years ago when AI was just starting to rumble and everybody's like, okay, well, we'll get on the horse. Mark had the vision already of where SEO was going.
Yeah, he jumped
and
on
again,
it.
he still doesn't know the finite details, but what he was able, what I mean by that is it's still changing and we're all still trying to figure out. But what he stated, and I've said this so many times to praise him on calls and mastermind and stuff, but he goes, I think you're going to have to double down on the reputation signals
Yes.
of a brand moving forward. And this was over 2 years ago that he thought this, even though the technology wasn't there and the landscape hadn't changed. And I think, I don't know, but I think he's absolutely right.
Oh, he's spot on the money.
At least as a major component of where that next step is. So if clients, I'm not going to go get Google reviews from my customers due to sensitivity. I'm not going to have other reputation platforms where there's chatter positively about us. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Our mutual friend and colleague, Christina Pilarski, co-host of this show in season 1, her whole life is PR, and she's adapting to provide new service around digital PR. And she's got the vision as an agency owner and an operator to say, I know this is important moving forward. And then guess what? Then the AI gets here. Then the LLM and SEO process is changing. And now all we're hearing is digital PR is going to be a key component for brands to invest in moving forward, because it's also what is being talked about at this brand out there. What are, how is this brand referenced? What is the chatter and what is the community around this brand? So my point being is, like, so much is changing and you can't do all of it. But to your point, you don't have to throw everything you learned in the last 10, 15 years out the window. Tactics change all the time. But you talk to our friends, you talk to our partners and suppliers in the network, and they're saying you can't optimize for LLMs unless you have a strong foundational SEO. So that's why we are all trying to introduce packages that complement SEO and AI-driven visibility optimization and different, like, I love the word layers. We're also trying to tell customers, get into SEO now, because we told you years ago, if you're not doing SEO, you're going to die. And they say, well, I don't value SEO. Well, it's almost a non-negotiable now, because like you said earlier, it's an influencer for the LLMs. There is not just a net new process to say, we do these 5 things and you're optimized for LLMs. That's going to continue to evolve and grow and expand and evolve and grow. But the SEO foundation can also get you naturally found for select things. And we're already, you and I, seeing that with select customers where they have not invested in any LLM focused optimizations that we can bring forward, but they're naturally getting picked up for at least some searches. And it's even surprising us, because we're sitting there going, that means our SEO work, and to the customer's credit, however long they've been investing to double down and keep working through that roller coaster, it's paying off naturally now. And then we can layer the next tactics on top of it.
Yeah, it's just like when you're raising a child, or you know, anybody that you're training that's like little in something, like they're just learning something. At first you talk at them, and we spend a lot of time talking at LLMs, but now it's different. You can't talk at the machines anymore. You have to teach them. And if you're only talking at them and not teaching them, what's going to happen is other people are going to teach them. And it's going to lean, like the machines are going to lean on those people more than they'll be leaning on you. So yeah, you have to invest in real editorial oversight, in my opinion. You have to, update like your KPIs to include visibility signals. And gosh, before we were to close, Mike, I really want your take on how we're going to measure this, because there are some elemental things that need to happen with measurement. There are some things that we can do now, but where do you think measurement of AI is going to go? Because we're going to have to measure it. And SEO is now becoming a performance channel, just like paid is a performance channel. I
Yeah.
think, when we used to talk about the triune relationship between website SEO and PPC,
Yeah.
that relationship is even more solidified into what performance marketing is all about.
Let me take a step further just to complement what you're saying there, and then
Good.
I'll address your question and so forth. But another thing I learned at that SEO conference and trying to understand where the landscape is going is, it's also some very, very experienced SEO people that do big, whether it's SaaS or B2B. Like, I'm talking big SEO for big corporations
Right.
at scale, sheer data and testing and all those crazy things they can do.
Well,
One thing many speakers, presenters said was that it's no longer negotiable. It's a non-negotiable now, for a customer to come to you and say, well, I want the quick fix. I want paid advertising. I want leads and turn on the tap. But I don't care about SEO. Or, well, I really trust SEO, but I hate to pay for leads. And I'm just using two of the big kind of, strategic opportunities we have in, traditionally in digital marketing. My reason for saying that is you want, moving forward, to take as much market real estate in the search engine away from competitors. And that's not just first page rankings like the old days. It
right on.
is, do you have paid ads showing? Are you showing up in the local map pack? Are you showing in the AI visibility overview results on the right hand side? Are you showing up in the schema rich snippets that are showing up? Are you showing up in the reviews? Are you showing up in the GBP? Are you showing up in the organic rankings? My point being is, are you showing up in the shopping ads? Because everybody knows that there is so much bloat on the first page of Google now. It's almost very unattractive. It used to be a whole bunch of paid ads and organic rankings. And now organic rankings are pushed almost to the bottom of the page. That's
Yeah.
not de-emphasizing them, but what that means is how much above the fold real estate or pixel share can we capitalize for a brand moving forward, because there are signals that will influence the LLMs as well to understand that this brand is either bigger or more powerful,
Right.
compared to another brand. So my point simply being is how much pixel real estate above the fold means before you have to scroll down on your browser are you capitalizing to take away from other competitors. So they're saying it's like, don't sit there and pick SEO or PPC against each other. You should, customer, be investing in both because you're actually doubling down on visibility. Again, that word visibility and discovery through channels, because of the change of how people are going to find stuff versus just, I'm going to show up just in this little box here on the page there, which again will not be sufficient moving forward.
No. No.
And to answer your question about where are the set stats or where is the reporting metrics? Now, I don't have a finite answer.
No.
We are working with our suppliers. We are working with our partners to understand what is relevant metrics that we can trust. How can we add them or how can we monitor them in Google Analytics based on how traffic sources are changing, especially with the zero click and everything, to understand what is the new traffic, how can we quantify it, how can we report it. SEO tools and other tools that we use are integrating AI related data now, so we can start understanding what's discoverable, what is visible, and so forth. But there is no just XYZ yet. It's still coming, and it's going to get better. But to answer that question, Heidi, we're putting in what we can trust. And that's with thought leadership through WSI. That's going to like this SEO IRL conference that I did in October to learn from experts that are far smarter than I'll ever be. And also to be able to, again, collaborate with smarter WSI people to say, what are you integrating? What is working? How did you integrate that? Because, it's not just the consumer or the business owner that's behind in the sense of, what is this? We're the technology people and we're just trying to keep up, because, and it's not at all like, well, hey, Mike and Heidi, you're a year behind the curve. No, it's because that's how much has changed just in the last 3-4 months. just in the last 3-4 months compared to January and February when we were having much different conversations about search experience or SEO and how to get you visible. And like nobody can learn to be a guru in 3 months. Again, it took us 20 years to understand, to talk confidently and execute SEO. So it's not going to take 20 years to learn this, but we all the agencies that don't double down on this and understand it and adapt, going back to that adaptive approach, they will die, because that's going to be your strategic advantage. Can I leverage the technology? Do I understand how the technology is changing what I facilitate for customers? And also going back to what you said about education on how helping prospects and helping people to start to trust you, how to educate them of what they need to know to protect their own business moving forward, because their adoption cycle is going to be longer than ours, because this is what we do every day. Whereas, John the painter and Jim the roofer, they know their business very well, and they just expect their website to work. And now we're going to say, let's go talk more technical jargon. So we got to find a way to dumb it down and say, this is how people need to find you, and I can help you, if you pay me, to be able to get you found. Again, discoverable.
And another thing that I think is really interesting, I did some research the other day, and people are saying, "Oh no, we want to do this in-house, in-house, in-house." Number one, you can't, because we know nobody can do this in-house unless you have like a massive team. So I did the math on how many people you would need to deliver this, and how much they would have to train. They would have to spend 50% of their time training, because they're not immersed in this all day, every day, like we are. So for a small business, maybe $11 million business with maybe, say, 100 employees, they would need to have 6 people in marketing doing this. These jobs are all 100K plus jobs now. Like they're very technical. So they would be spending $600,000. And then I crunched it down to how much it would cost them with us. Half, $250,000 a year.
Interesting.
Half. So we need to lean in on that. We can talk. If you wanted to do another one of these, I am redoing my entire sales process to be different in 2026. We can talk about that.
I'll just let you know, no, I don't want to do another one of these with you. So you can go share that with somebody else.
Okay, F off, you shouldn't die.
Hey everybody, Ops Mike here. And no, that's not the way my recording with Heidi ended. It's just a great way to put a pin in part 1, because Heidi and I talked for almost another hour. So stay tuned for more of Heidi Schwende talking ops, talking AI, talking SEO with me, and we'll be dropping that shortly.